Ozzy's music used to be my light in the dark, until another voice called my name. My name is Tyler T-Bone McKinley. I'm 41 years old. On February 17, 2024, I died in a motel bathroom on the edge of Akron, Ohio. It wasn't dramatic. No flashing lights. No one pounding on the door yelling my name. Just me, a dirty floor, and a needle I told myself would be the last one. I'd said that before. But this time, something was different. If you'd known me a year ago, you probably would have seen a guy covered in tattoos, bouncing at some rundown bar, nodding his head to Ozzy like it was a sermon. And to me, it was. I used to say Ozzy's voice raised me more than my parents ever did. Road to Nowhere, No More Tears, Under the Graveyard. I didn't just listen. I lived those songs. I grew up on the south side of Akron. My mom, Lorraine, worked double shifts at the hospital just to keep the lights on. She was the only steady thing in my life. My dad? Let's just say he had more faith in beer and belt lashes than in God. He was the kind of man who could quote scripture and still scare the life out of you. When he walked out for good, I was 13. I didn't cry. I remember feeling relief and shame for feeling that. By 15, I had my first beer, first fight, and first tattoo, all in the same week. But I wasn't just some angry punk. Not really. I was scared. I felt invisible most of the time, and the times I was noticed, it was usually because I did something wrong. That's probably why I clung to the music. Ozzy didn't just scream. He ached. And I recognized that ache. It matched something deep inside me. People say music saved them. I think for me, it was more like it helped me not care that I was drowning. I dropped out of school at 17. Started doing tattoos in my buddy's garage, then in a real shop a year later. I was good at it. People liked my edge. But underneath it all, I hated looking in the mirror. I told jokes, acted tough, made noise, anything to not feel so empty. My brother Jesse was the only person who really saw me. He was 3 years younger, quieter, smarter. He used to sneak me sandwiches when I was too high to eat. He'd play guitar while I sketched tattoo designs. We were close, even when I tried to push him away. He died of an overdose when he was 24. I found him slumped over in the bathroom of our apartment. I remember shaking him, screaming his name, begging God to give him back. That was the first and only time I prayed. I didn't hear anything back. After Jesse died, I got worse. Melissa came around about a year later. She was into witchcraft and dark stuff. Tarot cards, blood rituals, all that. At first I thought it was dumb. But then I started feeling something. Like there was power in it. Not love, not peace, but power. And when you feel like nothing, power becomes a drug, all its own. Melissa introduced me to heroin, said it opened the gates to the real world. I didn't believe her, but I also didn't care. I just wanted to stop feeling like I was rotting from the inside. I started flipping crosses upside down, not to mock anyone, just to feel like I had some control, some identity. Church reminded me too much of my dad. Angry sermons, fake smiles, empty pews. I figured if God existed, he didn't want anything to do with me anyway. There were moments, though, like when I'd walk past the corner of East Market in Maine, and that old biker preacher, Dwayne, would be standing there with his Bible and leather vest, handing out sandwiches and saying, "Jesus still saves." I'd roll my eyes, but something about him always made me pause. He wasn't like the others. He looked like me, talked rough. But his eyes were soft, like he'd seen hell and come back clean. Still, I kept walking. I told myself I was too far gone, that whatever soul I had was already traded for noise and numbness. Last February, I went to an Ozzy tribute show. The crowd was small, mostly washed-up fans like me, chasing something we'd lost years ago. I drank too much. I shot up in the parking lot. Still, I felt nothing. Back in my motel room, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at this old photo of Jesse. We were kids, arms around each other, both grinning like idiots. I had my earbuds in. "Mama, I'm Coming Home" was playing. I'd heard that song 1,000 times, but that night, it hit different. The line, "Times have changed and times are strange. Here I come, but I ain't the same," made my chest ache. I whispered, "I'm sorry, Jesse." I think deep down, I always blamed myself. I was supposed to be the strong one, the big brother. But he died, and I kept living like none of it mattered. The heroin was already kicking in. My head got heavy. My arms went numb. I slid off the bed and onto the floor. I remember the cold tile, the way the world got quiet. I wasn't scared at first. I just felt tired, like bone-deep tired. And then I saw something move in the corner of the room. At first I thought it was a shadow, but it grew taller, closer. I tried to blink, but my eyes wouldn't respond. Something was coming for me. That's the last thing I remember, until everything went black. You know, people think dying is loud, explosive. But for me, it was like slipping beneath ice. Slow, heavy, silent. Maybe you know what it's like to feel like you're disappearing, one piece at a time. Maybe you've stared at a photo of someone you lost and wondered if they'd even recognize who you've become. That was me. A shell of who I used to be. A man who didn't believe in heaven, but prayed there'd be something besides this cold emptiness. Turns out, there was. But not what I expected. Not even close. Everything went black. But not like sleep. Not like passing out after a rough night. This was different. At first, I thought I was dreaming. There was this buzzing, low, almost like static, but inside my body. My arms felt weightless. My chest didn't hurt anymore. That heavy, gnawing sadness I always carried? Gone. Then something strange happened. I was still in the room, but not in my body. I was floating. Not high, just a few feet above. But I could see everything. The bathroom floor, the dull motel lights, the needle still lying beside me. My own face pale and twisted, eyes half open, lifeless. I wanted to scream, but I had no voice. I wanted to reach down, shake myself awake. But I had no hands. It was terrifying. Am I dead? The words weren't spoken, more like a thought that echoed. That's when the fear kicked in. Maybe you know that feeling, when your stomach drops before a crash, when you realize too late you made a huge mistake. That was me. Multiply it by 1,000. I thought of my mom, her prayers, how many times she begged me to come home. I thought of Jesse and that photo, and how I never said goodbye. I thought of every time I mocked God. And for the first time in my life, I was afraid of what came next. Then the shadows moved. They didn't walk. They slithered. Tall, twisting things. They didn't look like monsters from movies. No horns or pitchforks. Just shapes. Darker than dark, like living emptiness. And they laughed. Not with voices, but with this sick, echoing sound that scraped across my mind. I knew. They had come for me. One of them leaned close. Its face, or where a face should have been, hovered inches from mine. No eyes, but I could feel it looking into me. and it said, "Clear as day. Your God never came." I wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. I was weightless, voiceless, powerless. Then something happened. Light. Not like a bulb or fire or sunlight. This was something other. It started as a pinprick behind me. Then it spread, warm and alive, pushing back the shadows like wind scattering smoke. The shapes shrieked, not with mouths, but with fury. They twisted and vanished. Gone. I turned, if you can even call it turning. And that's when I saw him. At first, I thought it was just the light, but as it drew closer, I saw a man, not glowing in some cheesy movie way. This was real. He didn't walk. He moved like music, like waves. His eyes met mine, and I lost it. I didn't recognize his face, but somehow, I knew him. Every part of me screamed, "It's him! It's Jesus!" I expected anger, disgust, a lecture. Instead, he looked at me with sorrow, like he'd watched every dark corner of my life and still loved me. He didn't speak right away, just looked. And in that gaze, every wall I'd ever built cracked open. I broke. I wept like a kid. Not quiet tears, full body-shaking sobs. All the years of pretending I didn't care. All the numbness, all the rage, it spilled out. And he just stood there, letting me fall apart in front of him. When he finally spoke, his voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was calm, deep, like a whisper that carried across the whole world. He said, "Tyler, I know why you clung to Ozzy. He was singing your pain, but I'm the one who bore it." I couldn't breathe. He stepped closer. I felt his presence like a warm blanket wrapping around my soul. Not my skin, my soul. He knelt right in front of me, took my hands, though I don't remember having hands, and I felt seen. Not judged, not shamed, known. I choked out, "I didn't think you'd want me." He answered, "I never stopped wanting you." I don't know how to explain what that did to me. Every ounce of guilt, every self-hating thought, every time I said I was too far gone, he shattered it with that one sentence. I said, "But I cursed you. I mocked you." He said, "I forgave you before you ever spoke." I said, "I don't deserve this." He said, "No one does. That's why it's grace." I was still crying, ugly crying, but he didn't pull away. He pulled me closer. And in that moment, I felt safe, really safe. Not like being locked behind a door, not like hiding, but like home. The fear, gone. The shame, gone. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like trash. I felt like a son. He held me, not with arms, exactly, but with his presence, his love. And I knew this was what I had been chasing my whole life. Through music, through drugs, through rebellion and tattoos and rituals and everything else. It was him. It was always him. I wanted to stay. I didn't care about anything else. I didn't ask questions. I didn't think about bills or my body or even time. I just wanted to stay in that love. But he looked at me gently and said, "There's more. You have to go back." I shook my head. "No. Please. I don't want to leave you." He cupped my face with light and said, "Tyler, there are still people I love that need to hear what I've shown you." I didn't understand. I wasn't a preacher. I was a broken man with a past full of pain. But he saw something in me I didn't, and somehow that gave me strength. I looked back one more time. The shadows were gone. The motel room was gone. It was just light. And him. I whispered, "I'll go, but only if you stay with me." He smiled. "I've been with you your whole life." Then it all faded. The light, the warmth, the safety, and I fell. Not through space, but through reality. Everything rushed backward. Noise, cold, weight. My lungs burned, my chest screamed, my body crashed back into itself like a door slamming shut. I gasped, eyes wide, motel ceiling above me, pain everywhere. But something was different. I was alive, and for the first time in a long, long time, I was awake. I don't know how long I was with him. There was no time, no ticking clock, just light and warmth and the kind of peace you don't know you need until you finally feel it. I didn't want to ask questions. I didn't want to think. I just wanted to stay in that place where I didn't feel broken anymore. But Jesus wasn't done. Not with me. We were standing, though I don't know if my feet were touching anything. It felt like floating on calm water that somehow held me up without effort. His presence was steady, realer than anything I'd ever known. He looked at me again. Eyes that held galaxies, eyes that knew everything, and still didn't turn away. I tried to speak, but my thoughts were too messy. I wanted to ask why. Why me? Why show up now, after all I'd done? After all the ways I spit in his face? He spoke first. You never had to earn my love, Tyler. I dropped my gaze. But I went dark. I cursed you. I tried everything else but you. I know, he said, soft and strong. But I never stopped coming after you. His words landed like drops of water on a desert floor. All the noise, the guilt, the shame, the lies I'd believed about myself. They quieted. You saw everything? I asked. Even when I was... He nodded before I could finish. Yes. When you cried in that parking lot after Jesse died. When you begged for sleep and called it peace. When you wore pain like armor so no one could get close. I was there. I felt something crack again inside me. Not pain, not fear. Just this deep, aching sorrow that someone had always seen me. And I never saw him back. Why didn't you stop me? I asked. He stepped closer. Because love doesn't force itself. I whispered. I waited. I placed people in your path. Your mother's prayers, Jesse's kindness, Dwayne's voice in the cold. You thought no one cared. But I was there in every moment. My knees buckled, but I didn't fall. The ground, or whatever held us, caught me like a mother catching her child. I whispered, I hated myself, you know. He sat beside me. There was no rush in him, no frustration, just stillness, like he had all eternity just for me. I know, he said. That's why you hurt others. That's why you pushed love away. Because somewhere deep down, you believed you were unworthy of it. I nodded slowly. I thought I was trash. You were my child, he said. Even when you were bleeding, even when you were high, even when you turned your cross upside down, you were still mine. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I wept again. Not out of fear this time, but out of a grief so deep I didn't even know I'd carried it. Years of stuffing it down, laughing it off, numbing it out. He waited. And when I could breathe again, he touched my shoulder. Not with fingers, something deeper. Like his spirit touched mine. You were surrounded by a lie, he said. And you're not the only one. I looked up. What do you mean? There are millions just like you, Tyler. Sons and daughters lost in shadows, trying to find meaning in music, pain, power, addiction. They've been told they're worthless, abandoned, cursed. Many have never seen real love, and many more have stopped believing it's even possible. I felt something shift in me, a stirring. You mean, like kids on the streets? He nodded. Children in foster care, boys growing up fatherless, girls taught their only value is their body, men told they must be hard or else they're weak. People craving connection in a world that numbs everything. You were one of them. I shook my head. I'm no saint. I didn't help anyone. But now, he said, you can. I blinked. I'm dead. You're not finished. The idea of going back, it hit me like cold air. I don't want to go, I said. I can finally breathe here. I finally feel whole. Why would I go back to pain? He didn't rebuke me, didn't guilt me. He just said, because there are others who need to breathe too. I thought about it. The motel room. The way my mom used to cry in her bedroom, thinking I couldn't hear. The kids I tattooed who were barely old enough to drive, trying to numb their pain with ink. The addicts I saw in alleyways, sleeping under newspapers, waiting for someone to notice. What could I even say? I asked. Jesus looked at me, and in his eyes I saw something I didn't expect. Hope. Tell them what you saw, he said. Tell them they are not too far gone. Tell them I see them. Tell them I still save. I was quiet for a long moment. Will I remember all this? He smiled. You'll remember what you need. The rest will be written on your heart. I looked down at my hands. They were glowing slightly. Not bright, just warm. Like I was becoming something more. But what if they don't listen? I asked. He leaned in close. Then love them anyway. That line hit me like a brick. My whole life I only gave love when I thought it would be returned, when it made me feel powerful. But real love, it costs something. I stared at him. You really think I can help them? He didn't answer right away, just smiled. I know what I put in you. I wanted to stay. Every cell of my being wanted to hold on to this moment, this peace, this presence. I don't know how to live without you anymore, I said. He cupped my face with his light again, just like before. You won't have to. Then came the pull, like something far off was calling me. Not painful, but strong, like gravity in reverse. I panicked. Wait, please, just a little longer. I'll be with you, Tyler, he said. But they need your voice. There are children walking in shadows who need to hear my name from someone who's been there. That broke me again, because I had been there. The shadows, the silence, the self-hate. And if even one person could know what I now knew, maybe it would all be worth it. He stood. So did I. Will I see you again? He smiled. Sooner than you think. And then everything changed. Again. The light started to pull back. The warmth faded, but the love, it stayed. Somehow it stayed. And I was falling. Back into the world. I woke up gasping. It was like being slammed into my body from 1,000 feet above. My chest burned. My throat felt raw. The air smelled like bleach, old cigarettes, and motel mildew. I was on the same bathroom floor, same cold tile, same busted earbuds still playing the last note of Mama, I'm coming home. But I wasn't the same. I lay there for a few minutes, just breathing. Slowly, like I had to learn how again. Every part of me hurt, but inside, there was this strange stillness, a calm I'd never felt before. It wasn't just that I was alive. I'd been brought back. I sat up, shaky, and looked at the photo of Jesse on the floor. For the first time, I didn't feel haunted when I saw his face. I felt held. Like maybe he wasn't so far after all. I whispered, I'm sorry. and somehow I knew. Jesus had already told him. The next few weeks were weird, hard, beautiful. The high faded fast, but the memory, the presence, that stayed, like a quiet light burning somewhere deep in my chest. I checked myself into a rehab center outside Akron, not because someone forced me, because I wanted to live, really live. And I knew I couldn't carry this new life with old chains. I kept to myself at first. But every night, when the lights went off and the silence crept in, I'd hear his voice again, not audibly, but in my heart. They need your voice. I started telling my story. One guy, Trevor, was a punk kid who reminded me of myself at 20. Hard face, softer eyes. He tried to act tough, but I saw the cracks. He heard me share in group therapy one night and came up to me after. "You saw Jesus?" he asked. I nodded. He blinked, then said, "Man, I've been hoping someone like you would say that." We sat on the porch for 2 hours, just talking. I didn't preach. I didn't try to impress him. I just told the truth. What I'd seen, what I'd felt, what I'd heard. He cried. So did I. He asked if it was too late for him. I smiled and said, "If it wasn't too late for me, it's not too late for anyone." After rehab, I went back to the city, but not to the bar, not to the old crowd. I went home. My mom opened the door and froze. Her eyes filled with tears. She touched my face like she was trying to prove I was real. "You look different," she whispered. "I am," I said. We hugged in the kitchen for a long time. No words, just the sound of years breaking off our shoulders. I started doing odd jobs, carpentry, delivery gigs, stuff that kept me busy without putting me back in old temptations. Money didn't matter to me like it used to. I used to chase it so I could drown in more. Now I wanted just enough to live and give. I started visiting Jesse's grave once a week, not with guilt, but with love. I'd sit there, tell him stories, and sometimes read psalms, even if I didn't understand all the words. It just felt right. One day I brought a sandwich and left it near a bench where a homeless guy always sat. I didn't preach to him. I just smiled and said, "You matter." He looked at me like no one had said that to him in years. That's the thing. You start to see people differently after something like that. The girl at the gas station with the tired eyes, I see her now. The old man walking slow with 2 bags of groceries, I see him. Everyone's carrying something. Some are drowning in it. And I remember how I felt when Jesus looked at me. Not as a junkie, not as a screw-up, not as a lost cause, but as his child. Now I try to see others the same way. My priorities flipped upside down in the best way. Before I cared about the next gig, the next high, the next distraction. Now, I call my mom every day just to ask how her heart is. I text my old tattoo clients, not to book appointments, but to ask how they're doing. I stopped chasing overtime and started choosing time. Time to breathe, time to heal, time to love. I don't need much. A warm meal, honest work, quiet moments. But I need Jesus, more than air. Sometimes I still ache for that light, that peace, that feeling of being wrapped in something eternal. There are nights I cry, missing him, wishing I could hear his voice out loud again. But he promised he's still with me. And I believe him. Because every time I sit with someone hurting, he's there. Every time I pray with someone too scared to pray for themselves, he's there. Every time I tell a kid with dark circles under his eyes, "I've been where you are," he's there. I don't pretend to have all the answers. I still have scars, still have cravings some days, still mess up. But I know where I'm going now. And I know who walks with me. If you're reading this and you feel too far gone, if you think God's tired of waiting for you, if you've buried your pain so deep you forgot what peace feels like, hear me. Jesus sees you. He's not ashamed of you. He's not keeping score. He's not looking for perfect people. He's looking for you. He knows why you run. He knows the songs you cry to. He knows the weight you carry in the dark when no one's watching. And still, He loves you. Looking back, I can see how lost I was. I thought Ozzy was the only voice that understood me. But then Jesus called my name, and everything changed.